Hello everybody, welcome back to today's video. Today we are checking out the plugin FateUHC. This will be a tutorial on 3.49 and above, which means if you're running an earlier version, things may look different, they may not be the same, and config options may have been added or removed. We do recommend, if you do own FateUHC, to stay at the newest version of all your, anytime we update, because there are some big fixes that come every updates, and they're really good to have. So anyway, today we released the update of 3.49. So let's get started and talk about exactly what we're doing in this plugin and exactly what it's about. Let's get started. Alright, so if you haven't noticed, FateUHC is our #1 plugin here on MC Market, or in our entire business overall. It has the most buyers, the most downloads, all this good stuff. FateUHC has been our #1 game mode. So I'm very happy to announce that we are currently on our version 3.50 update will be our next update. So we're at 3.49 right now. FateUHC has over 81 updates, 21 5-star reviews, or 20 5-star reviews, and we have so many downloads and everything with it, so let's take a look at exactly what it holds and what we do with it. So there's over 40 scenarios. You can do party or FFA, there's combat loggers, all these good things. We have plenty of videos. So this video is remaking this older FateUHC 3.0 tutorial video, and so it's remaking this, which is pretty cool. We have a MongoDB setup, so if you want to learn how to set up MongoDB, the link to that will be in the description, along with this video's tags in the top right-hand corner. You have the Discord webhook setup, the Twitter API setup, the boss bar and action bar setup, so we have steps for everything. And if you actually decide to read the plugin page, you can see we have a wiki page that shows you everything you need to know about the plugin. If you have your default configure files, all the setups are here as well. An entire list of the UHC commands and permissions are also available here, along with all the scenarios and everything else which works with the thing, including setups for the Twitter API, action bars through the configure file and everything, along with videos, and it also has a place for all the placeholders in the plugin, and all of the update change logs are stored here as well. So you can see in the 3.49 update, it has all these, what you need to edit in your configure file, and of course, links to the default configure files in case you break something. They're all available here for you to use without any issues. So that's pretty cool, and I thank you to everybody who wanted us to add the wiki page. We have done that for you, and it's available now. Alright, so enough with that. Some images you have here, and we're going to just look down the page and see if there's anything else I need to tell you. Here's the list of scenarios if you want it. Pretty cool. There you go. Extra information, of course, you can reach us on our Discord server, BGHDDevelopment.com/Discord, if you want a test server, and it does not require any dependencies except for MongoDB, but if you want to use a hologram feature in the plugin, you need the hologram API, and OR Plus is supported, so you can use OR Pluses as well. We'll go through the files in a minute. Commands and permissions are listed there, and of course, if you want to add any feedback for the plugin, go to our feedback site, leave a suggestion, and we'll be happy to add it if possible. Wow, I can't believe I talked through all that. Now, time to check out the configure files, and we do have quite a lot of them. We're going to start with the biggest one, which is the UHC configuration.yml. This is going to be the thing that defines pretty much everything in the plugin, and it's going to be the main file. So things you have in here are the prefix is for all of them, along with the restart command. So the restart command may be different depending on your host or what type of file system you use, so you can set your own here. You have the lobby system. You can enable it if you want and set the fallback server, which means if you do leave the server or something, it will send you to this server. You have your join items, true or false, auto whitelist, practice respawn radius, reboot time. So if you want a reboot time, which gives players more time to run around the map at the end of a game, like 120 seconds, you would put 120 seconds here. By default, it is 30. For worlds, this is where you define what your world names will be. The first time you start up the server, you're going to let all of these generate. It can take about 20 minutes to generate the UHC_world, depending on your server stats. So if you have good memory and stuff, it may take only about 5 minutes. If you have bad memory, bad CPUs and stuff, it can take longer. Every time the UHC game is over, it will regenerate a brand new map, which is set up for you. So it regenerates every time you use the map, and that's what this is setting here. Unless you have been asked by a developer to turn this to false, it will always be true when you're editing your configure files. Don't have to worry about that. If you want random TP at 500 scatter, you can do that right here by enabling that. You have your spawn locations, which are saved in this file, so you can manually edit them here, or you can edit them in-game with a command. You have your leaderboard format, so the position, name, and amount. You have your tab colors if you wish to change the tab colors. You have your Discord webhook if you want to set this up. The link to the video is in the description below or in the cards in the top right hand corner of this video. You have the hide lobby players here, so you can enable and disable this. By default, it is enabled. I disabled it for this video, and if you have this permission, it will allow players to see each other in the lobby. Most servers have this disabled, so it reduces lag. You have your boss bar settings. If you want boss bar enabled, you can enable this. If you want action bar enabled, you can enable this as well, along with individually enabling and disabling the different features of all of them, which is pretty cool. You got your join messages. So these are the messages that you get when you join the game, when you are frozen, when the UHC game has begun, if you list the teams, and the send accords and relog. So you can relog if you have set it up for a time system, and we'll go over that in a minute. For the chat format, you got the chat format for all of these. This will be overridden if you use a plugin like Essentials or something that modifies chat. Our plugin, what we set it up to do is it has its own, so it can run completely standalone in your server, except for a permissions plugin. It will require a permissions plugin, but it can run standalone if needed, so you don't have to have all these different things. You get all the chat prefixes here, which is pretty cool. If you use the Bungie Announce channel add-on, which is another video you can watch in the cards or the description below, it allows you to post stuff to the Bungie Core network saying when games start and begin and everything. You have the vote system, which you can enable. You can vote for scenarios, vote for configure files. For configure files, I'll explain in a moment as well. And you have the messages for that. Now, here's where we get into the really in-game type stuff. You have the border. So you can start at a 2,000 block border, and you can go, of course, all the way. You can shrink until you're at a 25 block border, and you shrink every 5 minutes, exactly like that. So that's pretty cool. So here's how this works. This is at a 5,000 by 5,000 world. You start to shrink once it reaches the dedicated time, so shrink until 25 every 5 minutes. So, and in this case, you can have 5,000, but we start at 2,000. So if you wish to go up to 5,000, feel free to go to 5,000. Of course, you can change the message here as well. And if you use a terrain generator like a world generator like terrain control, you can use this. And then you have your starter inventory. You don't need to worry about this. This can be edited in game only. You have your populators. There's actually no cow rate here anymore. It's only the custom caves and sugarcane rate. Cow rate, we are looking for a new API. The API we used was removed, sadly. But the custom caves and the sugarcane do require terrain control to be installed to hook into that API. You then also have the mob stacker, which you can enable if you wish to release, to keep lag down and everything. And of course, you can disable it in the nether if you don't want it in the nether, all those good things. You also have an option to swap biomes. So if you want to swap every biome with the desert, or you can always add like plains or something like that. I spelled plains wrong, but you know what I mean. You can add it with plains like that, just if you want to add another biome to swap with. So that would swap all of these. By default, it's disabled because UHC normally is over all biomes. And here's where we get onto the scenario settings. So the scenario settings, you can change every single thing. So if on 1.7, if you want sheep to drop cooked beef, you can do that as well. Flower power, so if you want to exclude blocks from being dropped, you can do that here, like command block and bedrock. And then you have flower power materials to check, red rose and yellow flower. And then you have the win messages, the border filling message, so the border will regenerate, and this will tell you how much it's been regenerating. You have the rules, so do you want the rules to send at the beginning of every game? What should be how often should the rules send? Should they send all at once? Should they send every second? What should they do? And you can specify as much as you want here. You get the point system, so you get the points per kill, points per win, and of course these are all set up in the MongoDB leaderboard database. You have the holograms. If you do have holograms set up, this will be filled up here. You got your pre-whitelisted players, so you can add your owners or someone here if you want to pre-whitelist them onto the server. You got your practice arena, which is your actual practice, so you can go in-game. You can set up the armor in-game. You can see if you want to take fall damage. I just realized that's misspelled. I'll fix that later. Max players, and you have auto-start, so you can enable auto-start. How many players do you want for auto-start? How long should it take? So if you get 100 players on the server, should the game auto-start? Announce message, you have all this set up here. The data sync, name UHC01. You don't have to worry about this unless you use UHC games, and that way you can sync everything together. You have your tweets, so if you have the Twitter API, again, a video will be in the description for this tutorial. You can set up your tweets here, along with your Discord tag for the Discord API. You have your message of the day, so would you like message of the day examples? So if it's enabled during the game, during the lobby, you can set like game is in lobby, or game the game is currently started. You get Bungie auto announce. So if you want the game to auto announce saying, hey, we're starting in 30, 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, automatically to Bungie Cord or Discord, you can do that as well. You can do the nice location format, so XYZ. You can set all this up for sounds. You can set up all that for colors. For sounds, you get your first shrink. You can enable and disable the sounds for every single one individually, which is pretty cool. You get your ore experience, so if you want to give diamonds like 40 experience, you can do that as well. The UHC border info. Use config in chat, so should the config pop up as a chat message like this, or should it pop up in a GUI? Same with scenarios. Should it be in a GUI, or should it be in chat, and what should they look like? And you can set that all up here. Should Bungie auto-announce command, so broadcast, if you use a Bungie Cord auto-announce, you can set this up here. You get help op, if you want to help, you can configure the help op cooldown, the thank cooldown, the thank, thanks the host by typing /thank. You can disable the practice broadcast messages. You can disable the block break messages. You have random scatter at 500, and you can enable and disable it. Name tag color, you can enable and disable, and you can disable and change all the kick messages as well. This is only one configure file, so we give a huge amount of configuration into the server. Now, we're going to take a look at the scoreboard-layout file. This is where you can configure everything in the scoreboard. So if you want to change while loading chunks, while frozen, while in practice, or if you just want to be the default during lobby start, auto start, scattering final, FAA teams, and you can change all the variables. So this is for the scenario formats, auto start in action bars, auto starts and boss bars, all can be changed at the bottom of the scoreboard layout. Eventually, these will be changed to a different file. For now, since we don't have that many in the action bars and stuff, we are not requiring it to have its own file. So it's available at the bottom of this file. In the language.yml is where all the messages from the plugin are. So you can change every single message in the plugin in this file, which is very useful. If they aren't in this file, they are in the other files. And of course, the prefix can be defined inside, and all these are defined inside the UHC configuration file as well. Onto the items.yml, this is where you can configure all the items in your lobby and everything. You can change the material, the display name, the lore, the durability, the slot it's in. Does it do an action in the plugin? Is the command enabled? What command does it run? So you can set up your own custom items in here if you really wish to. And same with the mod items and everything like that. You can set it all up in here and set it to be what you want. If you use an external plugin and you want stuff to be set up differently, you can always change the commands in here as well. Inside of your GUI items.yml, this allows you to configure every message and different item and everything inside the GUI. So if you want the top kills to be in a different language, you can do that here. Same with all the messages in the GUI items, so that's very nice. Thank you to the users who suggested this on Discord. Next is the debug.yml. This is a new file. All you need to do is keep this false unless we ask you to. Eventually, it's going to do some cool things for us if we need to diagnose errors on the server. It's still in beta. No need to worry about it yet. The next file is the data.yml, but I'm going to open it, but I'm going to blur out all my details in it. This is where you set up your MongoDB database. Should it be your address if you want authorization enabled? What should be the database name, the port, password, username? All that good stuff is set up in this file here. Then you have the config management. This is where your configs are saved. You're going to configure these in-game. And this is where you can set default scenarios values for all of your settings, like the load on enabled, who saved it, the type of party damage, or any of this stuff. You set all this up, save it, and then in a future game, you can play that in auto start. You also have the config.yml, which is actually this is just something you don't really need to worry about unless you have a few other things. You can see there's another debug mode in here. This has actually been moved to the new debug.yml, so you don't actually have to worry about this one. You have the whoosh effect, the portal redistribution. You don't need to worry about this at all. This is just built in for the World Border plugin, so this is not actually a main thing for FateUHC. This is just for your World Border plugin, which is built into FateUHC for your convenience. You have the commands.yml finally, which shows you all the commands and permissions in the plugin, so you can just see all those if you need to see them. Otherwise, they are all available on the wiki page as well. Now it's time to actually jump in game and take a look at what the default things look like. So by default, everything I have in the game right now is default. So you got your scoreboard here, this game mode's not scheduled, all that good things. One of the common questions we're asked is, how can I go ahead and shift scenarios? So I'm going to open this into full screen, and I'm going to talk about how you can add a scenario to the game. So I'm opt right now, so I have all permissions. So if you don't have the permissions, just add it using a permissions plugin. So to add all like scenarios or enable scenarios, you can do / scenarios, and this will just open up the default chat menu. So this will be a GUI if you set it in the configure file not to use text. So normal players can run this command and see what the current scenarios are and what the current settings are. But if I do scenarios / admin, it opens a nice GUI where I can click and enable this stuff. So if I wanted to enable ironless, all I have to do is click these, and I can click a bunch of these and it enables them, puts them on the game modes menu, and if I type / scenario, I can see them inside here, and we can see what's currently running for all players. The same goes for the config. You can type / config, but all it's going to do is bring up the same menu. But if you type / config admin, you can configure all settings in UHC. The save load configs, configuration scenarios, or edit scenarios. So if you do configurations, you can change the current. If you want enchanted golden apples, prevents you from eating, glass bedrock, last border flat, shears rate, border size, border shrink, party damage, all these good things. So if I wanted to turn off party damage, I can just click that. And then if I go in here and press save load configs, I have my default configs, or I can create a new configure file and it saves. And every time I can load these. If I wanted to load that configuration, I load it. And if I wanted to go back to what I currently had, I can load that as well, and all those things pop back. Great for auto start servers. If you want things to auto start, that's all you have to do. Now, for help op and all those things, you can do / help op message or whatever you need to do. So if you have it enabled, you can do all that. And of course you can do / settings. I believe it's staff settings, actually. I don't exactly remember the command. I'm going to go look. I'll be right back. Well, I am a complete idiot. It's just / staff alerts. So you can enable and disable mining alerts, PvP alerts, IPvP alerts, report alerts, or help op alerts. So all these can be enabled and disabled depending on how you're feeling in-game and what you want to do. So if you are playing the game yourself as a staff member, you should disable all those so you don't get spammed with notifications and cheat. Also, it does support the command / staff, and this will automatically, if you do / staff add your username, it will add you to a staff mode where you can spectate live players, configuration, random players, UHC locations, which would be like the Netherworld, Lobby World, Practice World, UHC World, freeze players, teleport to 0, so this has teleported me into the game world, actually, and I'm now at the 0 in the game world. Now, because I didn't regenerate the map before doing this, it's not actually going to be flat until that game actually begins. You have your player inventory, so if a player is alive, you can take a look at it, and you can change your night vision and visibility. So if I wanted invisibility and night vision, I could enable that, and I have those effects inside of my GUI here. So that is the staff mode, and I can do staff remove my username to exit me out of staff mode. You can also just, I don't recommend doing that unless the player leaves or something, and to set a spawn, it's set spawn, by the way. So I'm going to just go ahead and do / set host my username now, and that will set me as the host of the game. So it gives me the same different items, but this time it just makes me the host. So if I type in chat and stuff, if I do chat global, or spec chat, I think it is. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my own things. I'll actually have the host tag. There we go. So I actually have the host tag now. If I'm in a global chat. And of course you can cycle through the live players and change the configuration in host mode, which is pretty cool. So if I wanted to go teleport to the lobby world, I'm back here at the lobby world as a host. And then another thing which this plugin really cool does is we set it up so you shouldn't have any errors when you spawn anywhere, when you're scattering. It should teleport you into flat land, not in a tree, not in the water, not above the water, or if you do, it will automatically teleport you to a new area, just to keep you safe and away from stuff like that. Overall, plugin seems to have been running really well in the last few versions. All the bugs that we've had, we have fixed, so that is terrific. And of course, if you run across the bugs, just let us know on Discord and we'll be happy to help you out. So what I'm going to do is actually type / start, UHC start, or actually we'll check out practice first. So we'll do practice toggle to turn it on, or practice on to turn it on, and I can do / practice to join the practice. And that will just drop me in the practice world, which has all these armors. It has iron sword, fishing rods, bows, and of course you can configure all these kits to your liking, depending on what you want to do. And if you want to go back to spawn, just type / practice, and you'll leave the practice arena back to hub. Now, when you're in hub, you can take a look at the leaderboards. So you have your leaderboards here. Of course, everything can be configured. Top wins, top games played, top bow shots, top golden heads. You also have the view ore leaderboards, who've mined the most ore leaders boards, and the most spawners, who has the most coal, quartz, lapis, gold, iron, all these good things. And of course, you can view your own stats here. So these are your personal stats and not leaderboards. So we have all these cool things in here which you can use. You can also create a party if the game is in team mode. To do teams, it's just /team. Why did I go time? Team enable and then team size, and you could do like size 5. So teams are 5s, and then that goes to team of 5. Of course, I'm going to disable this for just this game because it's only me in here, and the game is going to end when I start the game, but I'll just show you how scattering works. So to start the game, you can do /UHC start, and it will say comp practice has been disabled, you successfully started the UHC, and it's going to scatter you, and it's currently scattering players. You can see the rules are going on in chat while it scatters us, and since I'm the host, it may not scatter us, so I'm going to go ahead and restart and bring a second account on and not be the host. I'll be right back. Alright, so I've brought I've restarted the server and not made myself a host this time, so I'm just going to do UHC start, and we're going to go ahead and start this game. Here we go. And there we go. We have scattered this time. Now, when the game actually starts, it's going to, you can see I'm overlaying, not in a tree, not anywhere, so that works well. So once the game starts, it's actually going to end because I'm the only player on it, but I'll show you some cool settings you can do with it. So, game is going to start in 10, 9, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. So this is the message you get. And of course, once the rules are done talking, the game's actually going to end because I'm the only one left. And there you go. Congrats to Noodles for winning. Reboot in 25 seconds. And of course, you can do /MLG to get the water bucket challenge. Of course, it spawned me over the water, so that didn't really do much good. I'll actually add a check for that in a future video. But that is the MLG challenge. So if you wish to take the water bucket challenge, you can do that, and of course it will tell the server you accepted the challenge and all that stuff. And you can run it as many times as you want, but there is a cooldown if you don't have the permission to bypass the cooldown. Oh, I just lost it. And there you go, the server closed. So of course, if you have any issues with this plugin or let us know how you like it and stuff, let us know on Discord. I'm happy to make any more videos you want me clarifying any features I've talked about in this video. I apologize if anytime I sound rushed or anything. Not tried to be rushed in this video. Do have some homework to do. But thank you so much for watching. My name is Noodles. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.